Our next element of a great movie is the character development. This is closely tied to the lines of action. According to Aristotle, character is the way that people habitually respond to things. So without action, there is no character. It's not that you act mean because you are mean, rather you are mean because you act mean. The action is fundamental, and the character development is what takes place in the line of action. Now let me say first that there can be lines of action without character development, but they wouldn't make for a great film. It would be a movie with just a lot of plot and not much else. There's no real development in the character.
There are two main things for tracking character development in a line of action. First, we are looking for a character that we can care about. If we don't care about the character, we won't care about their development. So the character must be sympathetic to the audience. This even applies to amoral characters. If we detest the character, it won't matter even if he changes by the end and improves in some way, because we aren't interested in his progression. So it's a delicate thing. You need to care about the characters in a way that impels you to be interested in their story, and yet have some sense of their capacity to develop at the same time.
The character isn't going to be perfect, which is important because it leaves us with a sense that he can develop in some way. Do something better, learn something, change, grow in some way. That way, when we get to the end of the movie, we will see some growth, some insight that he came to, or some decisive choice that is going to make a difference in the kind of person he is.
For example, let's go back to our story of the tortoise and the hare. If the hare just runs the entire race without taking a nap and wins, he wouldn't have learned anything or changed at all. And then if you were to ask what's the story about, well, it would only be about hares being faster than tortoises, rather than learning something or changing in some way. But in Aesop's version of the fable, the tortoise wins the race to teach a moral. The tortoise had to struggle and work a lot harder than the hare to finish the race, but in the end, the tortoise, the hare, and the audience learned that slow and steady wins the race. So instead of just being a story about two animals racing, it's a story with some depth to it, with some character development. The hare realizes that he can't be lazy, he has to finish what he starts. The tortoise has proven himself and gained confidence because of his consistency. And we learn something in the story. We learned that if you snooze, you lose. We saw the characters learn that, and we're intrigued by it.
What we want as an audience is to see people accomplish things that are difficult and that matter a lot. So there is a dramatic tension, and we want them to learn something in the process. This learning then prepares them for whatever comes next. In the Scout example, she starts off as an innocent little girl that wants to be nice but doesn't know how, and by the end she's learned how to talk to her neighbor in a nice way. It is something significant that she's learned, and we're happy about that, and we've learned along with her that personal contact is important.